This is Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is a bad guy. Want me to tell you why Joe Rogan is a bad guy? Fine. I'll tell you why Joe Rogan is a bad guy. See, Joe Rogan said that he might vote for this silly old communist. And Joe Rogan also said that he doesn't like it when blokes beat the effing fuck out of chicks. No, seriously. That's why Joe Rogan is a bad guy and needs to be cancelled. Voting for a silly old communist, maybe, probably, and doesn't like it when dudes beat the shit out of women. Now, I know this all happened about a week and a half ago or something, but I thought it'd be more interesting to look at exactly what happened and then get a good idea of how that played itself out. Because we all know how much of a pussy Bernie Sanders can be when it comes to being dragged by his support base. Chunk Yogurt has been a long-time fighter against corruption. However, our movement is bigger than any one person. I hear my supporters who are frustrated and understand their concerns. Chunk today said he is rejecting all endorsements for his campaign, and I retract my endorsement. Anyway, more after this sponsor. Are you using a VPN to watch this video? If you're not, you should be. And you should be using Virtual Shield, one of the most trusted VPNs on the market. Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates are some of the creepiest looking people on the planet, and we willingly let them know everything about us on a daily basis. Where we shop, what we look at, who our family and friends are, and a lot more. The best way to prevent all this is with a virtual private network. With a VPN, you can mask your identity and hide your activity at the click of a button. Whether you're on a public Wi-Fi connection, in a foreign country or just at home. You can even change your location. Check this out. What's my IP.com? Bang. So here's my current IP address that indicates I'm located in Sydney, Australia. I'll open Virtual Shield and change my location to Germany. Hit refresh, and now I've got a new IP address that indicates I'm located in Frankfurt, Germany. This month, Virtual Shield is offering 30% off all VPN plans and all premium add-ons. That's as little as $3 a month. Sign up for a free 30-day trial to Virtual Shield VPN and see what all the hype is about. You've got nothing to lose. Okay, so here's the part where Joe Rogan talks about Bernie Sanders.
Who are you going to vote for in the primary?
I think I'll probably vote for Bernie. Him as a human being, when I was hanging out with him, and
yeah.
I believe in him. I like him a lot. What Bernie stands for is a guy who, well, look, you could dig up dirt on every single human being that's ever existed if you catch them in their worst moment, and you magnify those moments, and you cut out everything else, and you only display those worst moments. That said, you can't find very many with Bernie. He's been insanely consistent his entire life. He's basically been saying the same thing, been for the same thing his whole life. And that, in and of itself, is a very powerful structure.
And here's the part where Bernie Sanders is like appreciative of Joe Rogan talking about Bernie Sanders. I think I'll probably vote for Bernie. He's been insanely consistent his entire life. He's basically been saying the same thing, been for the same thing his whole life. And that in and of itself is a powerful structure to operate from. Joe Rogan. And now here's the part where fuckheads go insane. What I find so disturbing is how progressives readily dismiss Rogan's transphobia and racism. Please just say you don't care about us and that votes are more important than values. Joe Rogan regularly gives a platform to hateful people like Milo Yiannopoulos, Alex Jones, James Damore and Stephen Crowder. His endorsement of your campaign is an embarrassment, not a point of pride. It's been 7 hours. Why is this tweet still up? Every moment it's up, our LGBTQ plus friends feel unsafe. I set a timer to comment on this post every hour until it's removed. How is this still up? Why would you embrace this guy whose rhetoric about LGBTQ people is so harmful? That ain't it, Chief. This definitely is not the endorsement to be touting. This is not going to play like you thought it was. This guy's the poster boy for toxic masculinity. I can't believe this is still here after 2 days. Bernie refuses the endorsement of the ultra-rich, but can't turn away one jerk with a podcast? This is supposed to be about us and our principles, not votes. We're already close to the top. Very disappointed. You closed the door on any chance of me voting for you in the primary with this. The identity politics you dismiss are life and death issues for those with the wrong identity. Your willful ignorance on these issues are disqualifying. What kind of special person doesn't think that elections are about votes? That's exactly what elections are about. Anyway, that's by the by. So the accusations here are that Joe Rogan represents toxic masculinity. I mean, after all, he is a big muscly guy who likes fighting, that he's against identity politics, which, I mean, good. Fuck identity politics. And that he's anti-LGBTQIA++ asterisk pound sign, because he doesn't like it when dudes beat the fuck out of chicks. Here he is explaining it for himself.
Nobody
This had
cares.
this had to do with fighting. This had to do with a man.
that's
This was
what it
what I
is.
was saying, and the video that they're using was me saying you're a fucking man. Definitely shouldn't use those words, but this is why I was upset. There was a guy. This person was a man for 30 years, transitioned to become a woman for 2 years, and then started fighting women in MMA and didn't tell them that she used to be a man.
So Joe Rogan's talking about Fallon Fox. This is Fallon Fox. And here's what Wikipedia says about Fallon Fox. Fallon Fox came out as transgender on March the 5th, 2013, during an interview with Outsports writer Sid Seigler and Sports Illustrated. Following her 2 initial fights in the women's division, controversy swelled over confusion with the California State Athletic Commission and Florida's Athletic Commission over the licensing process Fox chose to complete in Coral Gables, whatever the fuck that means. After publications shed light on the licensing procedure and Fox's coming out, many commentators brought up the issue of whether a woman who was assigned male at birth should be able to fight in women's division in mixed martial arts fighting.
And was smashing girls. She
Sure.
literally broke this girl's skull, like broke her face, and was kind of bragging about it. Like she was, she was hyping up her MMA career, right?
Yeah.
And then people found out that she was a trans woman and she used to be a man. And she said that she didn't have to disclose that because it was a medical procedure and it had nothing to do, it wasn't their business.
Very shady.
I was like, bullshit.
Yeah, bullshit. UFC commentator and stand-up comedian Joe Rogan opposed Fallon Fox receiving licensing, saying first of all, she's not really a she, she's a transgender post-op person. The operation doesn't shave down your bone density, it doesn't change. You look at a man's hands and you look at a woman's hands and they're built different. They're just thicker, they're stronger, your wrists are thicker, your elbows are thicker, your joints are thicker. Just the mechanical function of punching. A man can do it much harder than a woman, period.
But I was like, get the fuck out of here. You're a fucking man. And so
Right.
they taken that like, he's so transphobic. Like, I'm not. Listen,
Yeah, you just don't want people to get hurt.
This has only to do with athletics. That's it.
So here's transgender MMA fighter Fallon Fox fighting Tamika Brents and fracturing her skull in the process. Neither Tamika Brents or the competition itself had any idea at the time that Fallon Fox was a transgender woman. Now, if you're a bloke, just imagine for a sec grabbing your wife or girlfriend or sister by the back of the head and kneeing her in the skull like that. And now imagine her trying to do the same back to you. Would it be fair to say that you're probably going to do a lot more damage to her than she is to you? Well, apparently to these woke Bernie supporters, that's a totally transphobic notion, and you're a racist and a bigot and probably kick puppies when nobody's looking. Now, granted, Fallon Fox and Tamika Brents are both trained MMA fighters, but Fallon Fox had the physical advantage of growing into an adult male male before deciding that he wanted to become a woman, a fact that wasn't disclosed to his opponents or the competition. If you can't see the problem there, then you're being willfully ignorant. On Fighting Fallon Fox, Tamika Brents commented, "I've fought a lot of women and have never felt the strength that I felt in a fight as I did that night. I can't answer whether it's because she was born a man or not because I'm not a doctor. I can only say I've never felt so overpowered in my life, and I'm an abnormally strong female in my own right," she stated. Her grip was different. I could usually move around in the clinch against other females, but couldn't move at all in Fox's clinch.
Get the fuck out of here. You're a fucking man.
Now maybe we should refer to the internet's voice of reason on all things woke and otherwise to get a fresh perspective on this. I am, of course, referring to the Young Turks.
Yeah, I'm fucking better than you.
Joe Rogan, problematic is an okay word to use because he's been hyper problematic. He's doubled down.
I feel like problematic doesn't go far enough in some of the cases.
Yeah.
That's why I say I hesitate to use that word.
You don't align yourself with someone who has anything negative or racist or transphobic or homophobic or xenophobic to say about any group of people, point blank period, especially in 2020 and with all that's transpired in the last 3 years with Me Too, Time's Up, and things of that nature. You have to, when you know better, you do better. And Bernie, I would imagine you know better.
We can all not like Rogan. I don't like Rogan myself.
Oftentimes, the stupid comments that people make about disenfranchised groups of people, be it members of the LGBTQ community or, black people, Hispanics, whoever, right? It comes from a place of ignorance, and ignorance leads to hate.
As someone who is part of the LGBTQ plus community, and as I said earlier, he has doubled down on those egregious comments about trans women, trans men.
And I do think there are so many things that are problematic, given like the trans comments, the comments about black folks, and some other things that people don't like to talk about, which is that he's very much in the ilk of the Bill Maher's of the world in their exceptional anti-Muslim comments and the kind of guests that they have on that go unchallenged for their anti-Muslim rhetoric.
So when you have someone like Bernie, who I know is a smart man, essentially aligning himself by retweeting that and not doing their homework, it does make me lose faith in Bernie because people of the trans experience are now more than ever being seen, but not seen enough.
Oh, well, gee, how do we get them seen more? Just let them do whatever the fuck they want and keep our opinions to ourselves? The Fallon Fox thing was clearly fucked. Anyone with common sense understands that. But Joe Rogan is a martial arts expert, for Christ's sake. His opinion on the matter is super relevant and completely reasonable. He's not a bigot just because you disagree. And you gotta love how they chuck all this extra shit in there, like his comments on black people, his views on Islam, and his homophobic views, just as these vague generalities. What comments on black people? What's your problem with his views on Islam? How is he homophobic? They're painting with an awfully broad brush for people who constantly excuse and deflect their boss's dishonest, money-grubbing, misogynistic, race-baiting, bestiality-approving, genocide-denying antics.
Who cares?
Well, actually, Anna does cover the genocide-denying bit in this very video.
The Armenian community was outraged that I started working here, that I was working for a Turk, who denied the genocide, right? My family was victimized by the genocide. Coming here and knowing that my boss denied that the genocide was a genocide was a hard fact to swallow, right? But I had to make a choice. I decided to stay here because in my mind, I knew that I could be persuasive enough to convince a logical, rational person who had grown up with pro-Turkish propaganda his entire life.
She's talking about Chunk.
That the genocide was in fact a genocide, and it happened. I didn't cancel him. I didn't tell everybody that, you shouldn't listen to this show, you shouldn't watch it, he's hopeless, there's no point. I felt that it was more important to persuade him, and if I can persuade one Turkish individual in America that this is what the truth is, then that's gonna spread.
Oh, well, that's very noble of you, Anna. You took the job because you wanted to change hearts and minds, and you totally didn't just, need a job. I don't know if I've told you this before, but I think you might be better than me.
Much better than you.
Okay, much better than me.
You are garbage.
Anyway, I kind of got distracted by the Young Turks. So the heat kind of died down for Joe Rogan and he didn't end up being cancelled. Because I don't think he really can be cancelled, in the woke fuckhead sense of the word anyway. Bernie Sanders didn't end up taking down the tweet that started this firestorm, which was surprising, because he normally pussies out with shit like that. So good on him for not being a massive wimp. Anyway, I'm out of here. I'll see you soon.
Recession, session.